Every time I talk about feeding cows differently, somebody always comments and says, hey, they're all in one pasture, how are you doing that? And that's a fair question. Because the truth is, we're not always going to feed every cow perfectly. I've been breaking this down the last few videos. We've talked about cow size, we've talked about stocking rate, and we've talked about the demand spike when a cow is trying to breed back. This is just another piece of the puzzle. Most herds, like ours, right here, aren't split into perfect groups. You've got cows together that have just calved, they're about to calve, they're breeding back, and they're all standing together in one group. So what do you do? As you can see, this bale of hay right here we unrolled about 2 weeks ago, and they've not touched it. We fed cubes on top. The day we unrolled it, they ate the cubes and left it alone. So this was my signal. These cows are done with hay for this season. When you have a herd like this all together in one pasture, how do you manage that? You don't feed every cow perfectly. All these cows out here are in a different spot in their gestation, in their life cycle. So you manage for the cows that matter the most, because not all cows are equal all the time. Take this fence right here. If you've got the ability to separate your cattle into different groups, you're ahead of the game. You can separate into bred cows, open cows, heifers, old cows, sick cows. However much your checkbook will allow you to build and fence, you can separate these cattle and feed them more individually. Now, is that always the best use of our money? No, at least it's not for mine. I would like to have more fences out here. I would like to have some different pastures to put these cattle in, to separate them. But for right now, that's just not on the table. But what do they say about a fence? A good fence makes good neighbors, and that's the truth. But even if you can just separate your herd into 2 groups, that can make a big difference. Let's be honest, most people aren't doing that every day, and there's a reason for that. It takes more fencing, it takes more water, and it takes more infrastructure when you separate a pasture up. You've got cross fencing, you've got ponds, or you have to run rural water lines unless you have a well. That's real money. And then there's labor. It takes more time. You're feeding more pastures, you're checking different pastures, and you're moving cattle more often. And that's not often realistic when you're like me and you also have a job in town. We have to find efficiencies here to manage those 2 worlds. And then of course, there's land. Sometimes you just don't have the land to split them all up like you want. You're working with what you've got. So most people leave them all together and feed them all the same. And that's where problems can start. So early lactation equals your highest demand. We're going to circle that right here in red. This is our highest demand. So if they're all together, you feed for the highest demand cows. That's early lactation, milking, and trying to breed back. If you saw that last video when we talked about demand spike, that's the part that most people don't know what to do with. You would rather overfeed a few than underfeed the ones that need it the most. Because if you underfeed those high demand cows, you don't just lose condition, you lose reproduction. Feed waste is visible, but reproductive loss is where the money disappears. Let's say you've got 30 cows. 10 need a lot, 10 need some, and 10 need very little. Those high demand cows, they're milking, they're recovering, and they're rebreeding. That middle group, calves are older, and demand is dropping. That low demand group, you've got easy keepers, late gestation, and some dry cows. But when they're all together, you can't feed each one of them individually. So if you feed for the average, your most important cows lose. If you feed for the top group, you protect the ones that matter. If you feed for the top group, yeah, you may waste a little feed, but your cows have a better chance of breeding back. And that's the difference between an open cow and a calf. I hear it all the time. Anytime I'm at the feed store, somebody's talking about wasting feed. They always feel like they're feeding too much. And let's be honest, we probably are. But what does that open cow cost you? That cow eats all year, hay, grass, mineral, and produces nothing unless you catch it early on. That's one less calf to sell. And right now in these times, you know, that could be $2,500. Sometimes more. Gone. Or she breeds late. Now your calves are smaller. They're not as uniform because you have them spread out over that calving season, and you can't sell them in the same weight group when you go to the sale. You didn't just lose one cow, you lost production across your whole system. So yeah, you might waste some feed, but that's cheap compared to an open cow. You also have to watch body condition. Thin cows need some help. Fleshy cows can coast a little. They are going to tell you if you're doing it right. You don't have to be perfect. You just can't miss that window. That early lactation window, that's where everything stacks up. That cow's milking, recovering, and trying to breed back. If she falls behind here, you don't fix that later. What you do in this window determines what next year looks like. So no, we're not going to feed everything perfectly. But if the high demand cows are covered, you're going to be way ahead of most people. If you're running cows and trying to break this stuff down, that's the kind of stuff I talk about here. Because this isn't just one decision, this is a system. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps to grow the channel and keeps us going. Thank you.